So we all know what's going on in Palestine, what's happening at Masjid Al-Aqsa. And many people are talking about we need Salahuddin al-Ayyubi to return, we need another Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. But what people fail to understand is that Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, rahimahullah, he was part of a process. That process had begun before him. Whether it was with people like Nuruddin Zengi. So the momentum was there and he was part of that process. So if you know the history, we know that he was able to unite the Muslims who were fairly disunited at the time. He was able to unite the forces of Syria and Egypt, and basically he dealt with the issues that were at hand. It never happened overnight. There was a process. So he identified the problems that were there that he had to overcome in order to be able to liberate Al-Aqsa and Palestine. So he went about and he dealt with these issues. And then we see at the Battle of Hittin where he totally decimated, totally destroyed, annihilated the Crusader army. And then he went on and he liberated Masjid Al-Aqsa. And once again, the Muslims were able to go and pray in Masjid Al-Aqsa, and it was again in Muslim hands. So what we have to understand, brothers and sisters, is that there's a process. So we see what's happening and we may get frustrated. We see people asking for donations to send over, people want to send aid packages, and people are kind of getting frustrated now because they're doing this every year, but as we can see on the TV, the situation is not getting better. In fact, some would argue it's getting worse, right? So that's why people then kind of like look back at history and how in the past this land was liberated, and that's why they kind of conclude that we need another Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. But what we have to understand is that it may not happen tonight, it may not happen next month. However, there's a process. What we need to do is not look back at Salahuddin al-Ayyubi to come out of his grave and to go and liberate Masjid Al-Aqsa. He dealt with the challenges of his time. What we need to understand is what are the challenges of today? What are the obstacles that are in place for us to go and liberate Masjid Al-Aqsa? And then we need to understand these. We need to work to remove these obstacles. Now, the end result, the liberation of Masjid Al-Aqsa of Palestine, may not happen in your lifetime. However, we need to be part of that process. In the same way, there are many people who would have fought with Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, but we don't really talk about them. We speak about Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. However, how many people were part of that process? We don't know about them. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about them, and He knows what is in their account, what they will present on the Day of Judgment. So what we need to understand is that yes, there is frustration. We send money. Some people even call for futile actions like going to your MP and lobbying your MP. A lot of people are actually now realizing that these things are not fixing the issue. They're not solving the problem. So what we must do is let's be like Salahuddin al-Ayyubi rather than looking back for him to come back. And let's deal with the challenges, the obstacles that we face today. Let's reflect on our situation, and in that way, let's work towards the solution. That is the only way that we will be able to see Masjid Al-Aqsa being liberated, Palestine being liberated. If we continue doing the same things we are doing, then we will see the occupying forces continue doing the same things that they are today. Nothing will change. So my brothers and sisters, we need to become part of that process of change. But before that, we need to identify what is needed to bring about that change, and then have hope, be convinced of the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's victory, which will come. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that He will not change the condition of a people until they work to change themselves, to change their own situation. Then the victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come. So we must ask ourselves, are we doing enough? Are we worthy of that victory? This is advice first and foremost to myself and to all my brothers and sisters. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who dealt with the challenges of their time, and we will witness how the Muslims will be once again able to deal with these problems effectively, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will restore our izzah and our honor, and the atrocities we see today whether it's in Palestine, whether it's in India, whether it's in Kashmir, will be things of the past. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.